Che Gare Dongta Jeje Kyumanda Mithene Vechenda Travat Tumba Doje Bezo Tsoshone Dashi Deja Tendra Dele Sho Saye Beje Shoye Metota Role Nide Jambande Sanje Kendo Mede Muaye Dokwe Nanda Kinla Shevar Sho Edam Guru Mandala Kone Daya Me Sangje Shedam Zoje Chonam Shanjo Badu Dane Shazuji Dage Chuju Jeve Sonam Rola Pinja Sanje Lubar Sho Sangje Shedam Zoje Chonam Shanjo Badu Dane Shazuji Dage Chuju Jeve Sonam Rola Pinja Sanje Lubar Sho Sangje Shedam Zoje Chonam Shanjo Badu Dane Shazuji Dage Chuju Jeve Sonam Rola Pinja Sanje Lubar Monas Majana Gitadani Besanga Tangi Tendo Toja Lana Mepa Yanda Zobe Sanji Kumbarum Bijanija Tobrashagu Te Tobrashavi Chedo Tambi Churum Bujisenia Bicolon Shanjuji Semji Tse Sembe Gone Sembricho.
I would like to remind all of ourselves to cultivate the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. With that kind of bodhisattva's attitude, or what we call bodhicitta motivation, that we should all participate in this teaching.
당가란도 참말로 디 배워당 아니 대외 주단 내는 삼바다 동네 주단 되는 삼바 참말로 여러 봤어.
I believe that all of us deep down inside us we wish to find true peace and happiness and causes of peace and happiness. We do not wish for any kind of problem and suffering, as well as the causes and problem and suffering. So in terms of those innate wishes that we have, we and all others are just the same.
No, that any Marancho Samba Nangi Shabalata Karugurusana, Shinguber Tony Tazoy Mabretan, Nam Sing Tony Semtuni, Jujutani, Azogur.
As we recognize deep inside us, we all share, those wishes. We wish for true peace and happiness and their causes. We do not wish for any kind of suffering and its causes. But to be able to fulfill these wishes of ours, we cannot just rely upon material, progress and development. To be able to find true peace and happiness and get rid of suffering for good, it is essential for us to train our mind and to bring about what we call inner transformation within our own mind. That is the way, that is the process by which we can fulfill our wishes.
Same the juju tongan shebala ane ta ane ki main ta ki nga da tendik thoni san tuju ton khabores ni nga da tendik thoni.
So now talking about inner transformation that we need to bring out, what are the available means if we talk about? I mean, can we take some kind of a medicine or pills or tablets or capsules or whatever you want to call them? And can we do that? Well, obviously, medicine is not the way to go to change our mind. Or can we just go and sit and recite, this mantra and that mantra and some kind of incantations as if that is going to do the magic? No. The mantra recitation is not simply going to transform our mind.
That same, same losing that susu any seji yen never see a tam megiwi same day so give it also something.
So as we talk about changing our mind, in Tibetan called Sem Chujurdamis, you transform your mind, you change your mind. What does that really mean? Is as we look within ourselves, we find, what we call negative states of mind, maybe directed toward others, so because of these negativities, we wish others, we wish to harm others. Now we really need to change that kind of negativity inside our mind and try to direct our mind into thinking positively and engaging in positive actions. That's what we're really basically talking about, inner transformation or changing our mind.
Same day, me give it same day, and give it sense of maris. Me give it same pakan, totally pakan, and give it same thing on the Jovach. Savage.
Now, when we talk about changing our mind or bring inner changes, as I would say, it doesn't mean that as if we can transform the negative states of mind into positive state of mind. That's not what we're talking about. What we really mean is let's try to learn to stop thinking negatively, stop negative thoughts, and replace them with positive thoughts and attitudes. So we try to stop and abandon negative way of thinking or states of mind and we try to cultivate and generate positive states of mind.
That is Shabala. And then Jitin la trap around to that, Jitin la trap, University of the Hoson Temple Torni, Jetangata, Jitin be Hoson Torni, the Jitway Amers. The Zotway Amers.
So then what kind of education do we need to bring about that kind of a positive inner change as a transformation? I really do not think that, by taking all this, attending modern education in universities, in all kinds of subjects that you know of, but learning about those things, I don't think would really help us much to change our state of mind.
That thing she had got to go to the Sanji Chu, that pure Dama. That the religious Yamne Sheni, the Tony Jaguars.
So to bring about that kind of inner transformation, which is like we're talking about in each of our mind, how can we bring about that positive changes? Then we have to rely upon pure spirituality or dharma, such as the one taught by our historical teacher Shakyamuni Buddha.
Ani Sanji Chul, Lojan Jabas Maze, Ani Heson, the under the Hesna during Yamneshi, Duban Yaneshi, but the Sheguya that ne Chambuki two, the little 2 years.
So because of the reason I just gave, we do need to rely upon or cultivate pure spirituality or dharma to bring about such a positive inner transformation or changes within ourselves. So that's why we emphasize a lot on educating ourselves about dharma or spirituality. And once we learn about spirituality, then of course the more important thing to do is to integrate that knowledge with our mind, or that is to say, we need to implement the teaching. We need to do the cultivation practice, or we need to do the practice.
Rang Deja Tenzin Dumaseta, when it only around Tondata, Rugia Tenzin Duma Carresena, Tajuchimbonia, Keta Chimbonia, Telemaris. That Cariguresena, Trade number top of your journey round, shower shaman as only Shem Guia, there's a Maze, and tell has a quality Tara, tell has any round against the Sanji Combatwaji, Tang Gogres. That they Tenzin Duma, that was the terrorist.
Now, our purpose of coming together here to participate in the teaching involves setting forth the goals. So what are our goals? The goals of all our, if you will, future existence or future lives. Our goal is not, to become a billionaire or a trillionaire or whatever near one could become. And that's not our goal. That's not why we are gathering here, talking about Dharma. That's not part of it. Our goal is, to be able to, in the minimum, if you will, that when we say goodbye to this world, we have to one day, that, we do not have to fear being reborn in unfortunate states of rebirth. That's our goal. And more than that, our goal is, can we free ourselves from the state of suffering for good? We call samsara. Can we liberate ourselves from samsara? Okay, that's the goal we have. And beyond that, if we say, okay, can I become a fully enlightened being called Buddha, a fully awakened person for the benefit of all other sentient beings? Okay, that's the highest goal, we could achieve. So these are our goals. Our goals is not to become rich and famous and bold and beautiful.
Goals and sales we were
bold, not gold.
So the rang deja tattoo data when it was a kabim Majib Shagres, rang deja tattoo de current that the Dubse, the Druete, Juka current, the thing about Majib Shagres.
So I want to make sure that all of us really, in our mind, we are able to see clearly our goals and objectives. What are we seeking? What do we really want to accomplish? That will take care of not only this life, but also of all our future lifetimes. So that's why I laid out some of the aims that we could fulfill. So I guess I was double checking if I ever said goals.
And that is it. That day, any that should do the cousin him and the imbas. Kadampa, any Geshe Gumjung, any Kana so much. That should don't care they pay Ranu Tasum yours. The any that Tamade should do it Tamaji in a singular necessary Mishabi Gores. That case him and was there.
So as we are clear with the goals, for ourselves, then how do we accomplish them? Now, listening to one of the great Kadampa Geshes by the name of Karak Gomchen, the great meditator of the Karak, I guess that's the name of a place or region where he came from, which I shouldn't be translating names, which gets weird, but anyway, I break my rules here. Anyway, so Karak Gomchen. So he tells us that there are 3 levels of practice or 3 types of practitioners, if you will, and we can become them. And the initial level practice or the small practitioner, if you will, is someone who commits that I'm not going to hurt or harm anyone. Okay, so that's a minimum thing a practitioner needs to do. I'm not going to hurt anyone.
That should don't get Tamaji in there. That pay Chubin on a Twitter shabby in a Tubakil Takargus and Sinji Yell and Nusi Rangulutan, never signed the Messiah, never the Tagogur study. Much this year to be shared.
So according to Karak Gomchen, to be the least qualified Dharma practitioner or spiritual practitioner, if we say I am a Dharma practitioner, okay, what does that mean? What's the least qualification that we should have? Is we should see that we are not hurting or harming anyone physically, verbally, and mentally. Through the actions of our body, speech, and mind, we are not hurting others.
Tandi Nintari Swan Chinaba the Duke Sanguduna, the Majibas Saint Yane, that Rangi any Lutangata Ike, Saint Kiel, never see a new time sooner, that the Taki schedules.
So if you really want to become a Dharma practitioner, you truly care about the Dharma and practice, in the minimum, this is all we should try to be, that in our everyday life, we need to look at ourselves and say, am I doing something physically that is harmful or hurting others? Am I saying something, that is harmful and, to others? Or am I thinking about something that is unkind and harmful to others?
Senji Yins as a midjamba some Tanjamaras. Young Kakis and Senjis is a midjamba Matu, Jundu Yinda to have Pigi was the PG American, Jundu Yin Senjim Busi. That Chicken Yamaras, Samalulta, and never machete, sometimes.
So as we talk about not harming others, other sentient beings, then others include every other sentient being that we're not just simply talking about fellow human beings. As if, okay, I commit myself not to harm any fellow human beings. Okay, the other is not complete. Okay, others include animals, others include insects, others include all sentient beings. Any being who is not yourself, okay, is other. And so we say, I'm not going to hurt or harm any other sentient beings. We literally mean every sentient being who is other than yourself.
Did Dr. Shane never say Munduna Tarang? Then temple dig dona, Tarang Cheva Tamatia till 2 years.
So as we train ourselves, in this kind of at this level of practice, if you will, and we find that, okay, we are really getting good at it, right? Now I'm not, hurting anyone through my actions of body, speech, and mind, you see. That means we have become a Dharma practitioner, of course, at the initial level.
That That daily laxity, that never share with some massive the garni, never share to never share the garni, the taller. That same yen a pember can't drip to what you do in somebody down ne, pember drip it, do in the account to the share in that children drink it sugar.
So now we said, okay, I'm, at this level that, okay, I have disciplined myself well, trained myself well, that I'm not thinking about or saying something or doing something physically that is harmful to others. Because now I want to advance myself further in my spiritual growth or development. So then what we think about is not only that we don't harm others, but now we are thinking about, can I benefit others? You see, we cultivate kindness. We want to think kindly about others, and we want to care about others. Yeah, so with caring attitude, it's not just attitude, we stop there, right? With that caring attitude, to whatever extent we are able to help and benefit others, we decide to do that. So as we advance ourselves at that level, then we have become a practitioner of the middle level or the intermediate level.
Pember Drush in the Karasana, Pember Drea the young rank, other Lutanga, Yi Sumki, Sumchi, and Jumbo the Lunga use of Pekut Tani, and again, Saint Pember Dugo.
So just as, we use our body, spirit, and mind not to harm others, now to benefit others, we use the same thing. The way we can benefit others is by using our body, spirit, and mind, or actions of our body, spirit, and mind. There's nothing else we can do. So can I do something physically to benefit others, or can I use my speech that is beneficial to others, or can I think kindly and positively that's beneficial to others? So that's how we can benefit others.
That Luigi Goni is Jimba Toneta. And Jimba Toneta, and there is Jimba Toneta. The Ghana Yiki, that never attended the Tendi Yobu Juman the Tenita. Attended that Luke Tony Gale can't do it. Rank Luke Picture Tani, Gordota, gave Luigi gave Chaguaris.
For example, we could use our body to help and benefit others. When we practice giving or generosity, right, we use our body also to get involved in helping others, or in the case of, like the poor and needy, or especially those who are really sick and couldn't take care of themselves. So helping them physically is this part of the practice of benefiting others that we're talking about.
Shangu Simbi Shaval, Luigi Gondi Jimbaton, Lu Rank Lute, Pejotan, Inati, Migi later Mandeo, Migi lay Rank Lute, Pejotan, we not take Gavada Maris.
Bodhisattvas are, very amazing, and so if need be, they are even ready to sacrifice their lives, their body, for the benefit of others. So there are many stories about bodhisattvas, maybe cutting pieces from their body, or putting their body in a great, from our point of view, great, difficulty to benefit others, because they have that altruism, pure state of mind. They see clearly by doing such actions they can benefit others. Okay. So we cannot copycat that, because we are not there. And so by doing that, if, our action is influenced by any negative state of mind, then, it becomes a negative action. It doesn't become a positive sacrifice or positive action.
Lui Tang Long Shui ni bo te ran le jimba tong ta Lui Tang tu yo ma ta ina me ba shen tong je ris ani Long Shui te ran tong ya te me na ya pe khasing ye kyubin san zambi lin pe yong zo pe nor de jeno ka wa ten de da am he go bla me se go bla ze ke go bla ko ten de tang me ba shen ni zong je zong ris.
So there are things that we could do in terms of helping others physically, or like in terms of like practice of generosity. We may have certain available means that we could share with others. We do that. But of course, we do not have abundance of things to share with others, or at least most of us don't. Okay? But even then, we can still train our mind to give. Because after all, giving is a state of mind, right? That generous mind is the real giving, not what is being given, actually. And so therefore, we can train our mind thinking about all the wonderful things that we have in the world, and we said, okay, as if we imagine giving all the wonderful things in the world to others. Right? Through that, we are training our mind so that we really become generous and giving heart, if you will, that. So we think about, okay, those who need food and clothing and shelter, there's abundance in the world. We think about that and give to them. And so all the wonderful things. This is how we can train our mind in generosity.
Ane mendra piyisane lulong sho getsa tiba anje dabe zon da ma zon da da yin lung ha yiseng do da da yin ju lu da nga da yi ane de su getso de ba chang tang ge ane gonju le pyu ge re de na gi chen nga ju sen ji yin de pa nyang ta ba zu le dong ya ge me ba xin ne dong ju re.
So as we make a mandala offering, the offering of the universe, okay, so what we are visualizing is, of course, this time we are offering it to the sublime beings, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and we visualize that everything that is good and beautiful in the universe is offered to them. And where we offer that, we offer our bodies, our resources, our roots of virtue, or positive energies that we generate. And as a matter of fact, everything that I own, and everything that I even don't own, it belongs to everybody. There are things which belong to all of us, everybody. So we think about all the things in the world without restrictions, and then we imagine offering this to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay? Now we could do the same thing, with regard to sentient beings. We can imagine, all the best things in the world, and all the things that we ourselves have or don't have, but it's out there in the universe. Think about that thing and dedicate them, give them to sentient beings.
Langa machine langa yabu susupe same samba zambu tembina te pento chembu yungu jeta tende ta chungshuina chungshu tende shene yiba yungi jirenda yiba mebe sala she to and but ta ane ta ki tenda chue da ngidin karina ta ngune ge tenda machine tende ane tende heya ge che do susu la je tu do na javin zo kono zambi ton shebe na kira ge ja chembu yungu yarış.
So just as, we can use our body in many constructive and positive ways to benefit others, or at least imagine, doing that where we couldn't really literally do it, in the same way, we could use our speech in many different ways. Even the small things as with the good motivation, with want to help, that if somebody needs a direction, we use our speech to describe the direction and help that person. Okay, that is also benefiting others. And then let's say we can share honestly what we know about the matters of the world or the spiritual matters. That really the knowledge is important to these other people, right? And because of the lack of knowledge, they have certain problems, difficulties. So if we have certain knowledge that we honestly and kindly share with them, okay, this is also using the speech to benefit others. So benefiting others also needs what we call the wisdom. What is it beneficial to say or help? It's not like, because we could do anything with our speech, so then everybody asks for help and we say everything, because that may not necessarily be helpful and beneficial. Here's an example. If a hunter is chasing an animal, right? Basically, he wants to kill the animal. And we saw where the animal went or hiding. Okay, we want to be honest. Okay, there it is, Go that way, but that's really not beneficial, use of the speech. Or somebody really, wants us to participate in certain negative activities, then we happily participate in that gossiping thing, which is not the use of speech for beneficial action. So it is called idle gossiping or frivolous talking. So we could enter that. So we really have to use wisdom also as we do our practice, benefiting others physically, mentally, and verbally. The bottom line is this: as we decide to benefit others in whatever way we can through our actions of body, speech, and mind, we should see that our actions are not contaminated by our deluded states of mind or delusional motivations. Okay? So we have delusions such as attachment, anger, hatred, and all of that, and ignorance. Okay, so now it's very tough in our situation. Say, okay, I want to do something that has nothing to do with ignorance. Deep down we have, in the footnote, grasping at self. It is there. But we should see that our actions are not motivated either by attachment or anger or jealousy and any of those delusions. Because otherwise, what may look like beneficial in reality is not a beneficial action or positive action.
No, that is that. Senji gena pemba dutanda tengi tanden dusinta yiji goni ta senji da dewa da dena sambata dungi da tanda samba chevena ta tele ha bachiya mari.
So mentally, of course, when we really wish that how nice it would be if other sentient beings are free of their suffering, may they be free from suffering. How nice it would be if sentient beings really find the happiness they are seeking, may they be able to find it. Cultivating these love and compassion, of course, we can't do better than that, in terms of benefiting others mentally.
So that chöba tendeji shavina, rang dos shavina, that chöba drinki tole, tanging him at the yaga sonsumas, lagaduas.
So if we try to kind of integrate these things into our practice, now as you can see, we really have advanced, in our practice, that now we are cultivating love and compassion for others, and we are trying to benefit others, not simply not harming them, but we are doing something more. Beyond that, we are trying to help others. That's how we become what we call practitioner of the intermediate level. Now, to become the best kind of practitioner and most advanced practitioner, we have to kind of aim at complete enlightened state for the benefit of all sentient beings. Our motivation is nothing but altruistic motivation or bodhicitta motivation, seeking enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. Now, this is beyond samsara. It's not like saying, oh, I want to be free from samsara. It's much beyond that. That we are saying, I want myself to be a Buddha. I want everybody else to be a Buddha. Okay? So with that as a goal, I want to strive to become a Buddha for the benefit of others. And with that motivation, when we engage in actions, now we are practicing at the highest level. So as we advance to that highest level, that does not mean that we can forget the other two. There's no way to. It's just like we're building onto the other two levels, the initial level and the intermediate level, right? So as we say, I'm going to seek enlightened state for the benefit of others, of course that involves not hurting or harming anybody. That also involves benefiting others to the utmost level. So the things we talked earlier are also very much part of this advanced level practice. But what is really unique here, if you will, or distinctive is that we cultivate altruistic mind, bodhicitta mind, okay, which is seeking enlightenment for the sake of everybody. And with that motivation, every action, so to speak, is driven or motivated, undergirded by the bodhicitta motivation. And so this is how everything we do become an action of Mahayana practitioner or a practice of Mahayana, Mahayana Buddhism. Yeah, that means everything we do becomes a cause for us to become Buddha for everybody.
No, not the leading around Somalo,
so these are some of the things I think we all should really think about.
That's why you said what you're doing, jump as a maze, they told her, someone don't want you to be, tell the jungle. Some data machine.
So in order to become Buddha, as I said, as important and essential as it is to cultivate bodhicitta, but that itself is not a sufficient cause to become a Buddha. What we also need with that, I always emphasize and talk about, is we also need to make efforts to realize emptiness as it is and integrate that wisdom or the realization with bodhicitta. So through this integrated path of bodhicitta and the wisdom realizing emptiness, we can become a Buddha.
And that is on the Tonzani, Ran Chu Dunki Ranta, Ran Chu Dre the Sinki Yin, Tabatanji Gombatoya, Chit Duger, Chesa, Randa Sinki Yin, the Bruje, Tabata Tinji Gombalas, Samalo, Ta Rangish Tubachitan Mesa machine. Scoteni, Teni Trupata, Teni Trubachimato. So
how do we integrate understanding emptiness into our practice? Now here we can think of ourselves as a practitioner who said, I want to cultivate bodhicitta for the benefit of all sentient beings. I want to realize emptiness, right? I'm doing it for others. So others are very much part of our practice and thinking here. And so the goals we have, liberation or enlightenment, these are all part of our mindset and practice. But everything that is included in our practice does not exist in and of itself or objectively. Yeah? Everything exists dependently. And things are dependent on other things. That's how they exist. Or things exist in relation to each other. That's called relativity. Right? This is how the things really actually exist. Either they exist in relation to something else, or they exist in dependence upon something else. You see, that's the nature of how everything exists. What that tells us is that nothing exists independently in and of itself from its side. It's as if like, I'm here, look at me. It doesn't say that, Yes.
Now, Rangi Jimadupe, Junsi Karazana tending be Junsi.
So the reason, with which we can say that nothing exists independently or inherently or objectively is because everything is dependent arising, as we say. The Sanskrit term we use often is pratit samutpat, tendal in Tibetan. Everything is dependent. So when we talk about tendal, dependent arising or dependent origination or pratit samutpat, there are different ways of understanding it. So why do we need to talk about different levels of understanding dependent arising? This is why. When we think about phenomena, or we call dharma again, everything that exists is dharma. And so phenomena can be categorized into two different categories. Produced phenomena or composite phenomena, okay? And unproduced or non-produced, whatever is the right English word to say it, phenomena. So there are two types of phenomena, produced and unproduced. So So now all the produced phenomena or composite phenomena, they are dependently existent or dependent arising because they are dependent on their causes and conditions to exist, right? Because causes and conditions have produced them. Without them, they couldn't have come into being, right? So that's the very reason that produced phenomena are dependently existent or they are dependent arising because they're dependent on their causes and conditions.
Quran mental and du shes ne juso juta chen da chun du ne intelligent shoma inchen du shevas.
So when we look at the Tibetan term called Dorjee, which says more like composite, it's composed of many things. You see, that's the label itself tells you that it's not an independent entity in and of itself. It's composed of many things, right? So it is produced by causes and conditions. So basically, the sensual objects that we, we experience through our, five senses, right? What we can see, what we can hear, what we can touch, what we can smell, what we can taste, all these things are composite phenomena or produced phenomena. Okay, they are dependently existent because they are produced by their causes and conditions. So relatively speaking, I think it's kind of easy for us to understand, at least, conceptually, that produced phenomena are dependently existent because they are produced by causes and conditions, right? And these are the things which most of us usually, chase or encounter, right? The five sensual objects, if you will. Okay. Now there are what we call non-composite phenomena or unproduced phenomena, something that exists but not produced by causes and conditions. That's a little bit hard for us to think about. So there are what we call phenomena called non-composite or unproduced phenomena. And unproduced in the sense that such phenomena are not produced by causes and conditions. So they do not go through that whole process of production and endurance and disintegration. They don't like, okay, here I'm produced, or here I exist, and here I'm going to go out of existence. They don't go through that process. Okay? So they are non-produced, and they do not disintegrate. So how do these phenomena exist? Okay, now they exist relatively in relation to the produced phenomena. So as the great Nagarjuna has said in his fundamental wisdom treatise, Mulya Madhyamika Karika, Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, he said, if composite phenomena don't exist, then non-composite phenomena couldn't exist. Because the non-composite phenomena are dependent on the composite phenomena for their existence. Also, when we look up in great Nagarjuna's another very prominent work called The Precious Garland, Ratna Avali, region Tenwa in Tibetan, as Geshe quoted the lines again from his memory, there he presents us very interesting, again, explanation about how even produced phenomena could exist in relation to each other. Okay, we did talk about how they're produced by causes and conditions, but now he also talks about how they could exist in relation to each other. And one of the examples he gives is when we talk about like long and short or tall and short, what is tall and short? It's just, we posit something is short in relation to something is tall, and something is tall because it's in relation to something short. It's very relative.
rang la tu de yin sk ba ta den
So that exists because this exists, right? And this exists because that exists. So if that doesn't exist, this doesn't exist. If this doesn't exist, there's no that. If I don't exist, there is not you. If you don't exist, there's not I. Because self is only posited in relation to others. And others exist because in relation to the self. So how, things exist in relation to each other.
den de song za ane oma tanju chue dan ji do be ta sam do ba ta ming zan ji pa ya ba sam ma do yu rang ni zhe be zan me ba ji ta de shi ni ta du le zhu yong ge shi.
So when we really follow that line of thinking and reasoning, so where does that really lead us to ultimately? Where's the end game, if you want to ask that? The end game is what the Prasangika Madhyamikas have told us. These are the highest level middle way philosophers. They said, in the ultimate sense, everything is nothing but mere labels that the labeling thoughts have simply labeled onto their basis of imputation. That's all it is. Everything is mere labels. Nothing exists in and of itself. Okay? So this is all how phenomena, in an ultimate sense, exists.
No, that day and in ngara simul tanda penya kita shubis. Da ngi karasa tenin ba kasi kadam tobu to ma shubis.
So I thought sharing these things could be helpful to all of ourselves, including myself. And now I would like to go back to where we left off in this Kadampa text called Personal Advices of Kadampa Geshes.
Yan da kara kara Geshe ge yang sumber da kan shi kasin ma yimba tin na yi dren yang kon do se ka na ya. Kara Geshe be he ne se da. Kara sa de lungbe me ka shu cha sma dang on den ri. Ane deba me be melas da. Deba me mela yuan de number kan ya menju. Ali to sunda.
Now we are still listening to Kara Geshe. So Kara is the name of the region, and this Geshe comes from that region, and he's called Kara Geshe. As I footnoted before, and now Geshe has said it, so it's outside my footnote, or end note, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so now Kara Geshe tells us is that those who do not have faith, Depa in Tibetan, you see, they cannot have what we call, first let me literally translate it, so maybe Geshe will give the explanation, I'll translate that. So they will not have yunten, means qualities.
Tepa maybe melata, yundi number kayam, yundi si at the Lupeso, condition at Ranjuli Sheve, the Ray, Tele Anin Garsa, Lupeso and living the water. Yundi said that Sata Lamche, Sata Lamcherita, Ani Yundi Ani Ran and Jungaris, Devamena.
So Kara Gamsen said that individuals who do not have faith, Deva, they will not have qualities. What does that really mean? Or they can't have qualities. What that really means is, those who are lacking faith, they will not be able to cultivate or accomplish the inner qualities that we talk about, realization and qualities that you can gain on the spiritual paths and spiritual grounds. Remember, spiritual paths, mark, and spiritual ground, Dasha Bhumi, the 10 grounds. So there are a lot of qualities and realizations to be gained, and one cannot gain them if one lacks faith.
Tondo Shegmar, Yonte Kandi Kandikin at the Ranjuli shape, Tondo Shegmaris, Ane Tagana, any Zakim in Bahako Maris, Zakim in Singamaris, Debamena.
Sorry. So how come? If you don't have a faith, then you won't be able to have those realizations. The thing is that without faith, one would not have the required, what we call aspiration. Faith also involves aspiring for those qualities, so one would not have that aspiration. So without faith, one will not realize the preciousness of those realizations of the qualities.
Teba mena ani karaseta. Ani rang duju chwedali yishing maris.
So without faith, one is not going to trust the path or the practice that one is going to do, right? So you don't have a trust in what you're going to do, well, then just, nothing's going to work.
Honest. That Munjung West. That Karishagurasana. Ane Munjung West. Give Henny thinking do the task. Give Henny Sugi dangerous. That give Henny le pay David Tabatanta. The Untitled Sawing is a London Canada.
So then what we need to do, according to the Karak Geshe, is that, well, we should find a qualified spiritual teacher. I'm just using it singular, a qualified. You can be qualified spiritual teachers, if you like. And to cultivate them and develop faith and trust in them. And through their help, we should learn about what is contained in sutras. And as we learn in the Lamrim treatises, that cultivating qualified spiritual teachers properly is the source of all our attainments and realizations.
That give Henny thinking, that give Henny Tamashi. Do that say that rang that Churan cover of us. In the Chunya the Yawashin Yansin. And give Henny ten, Yawujite. Be torn any training at the Yawashin and a training Karkanang do that the Yawashi sometimes Kanang. Do it does it that young. Do it law to get that train and social media in the law and the saying any Sanjay Community that share loss of the Tagis and Takibaji any she was shake the what I chest shake or what chest. That Naras of the 2 in men young and they give you Kakaran the 10 is social push. So
Karakumjan says, we should rely upon qualified spiritual teachers, and then we should educate ourselves about sutras. And so, of course, if one is capable of reading sutras and understanding, let's say, for example, one could read a sutra that tells us about the life stories of Buddha, called Jatakamala, right? And then we really get a lot of inspirations, from Buddha's life stories or other great masters' life story. But of course, most of us really do not have that kind of, maybe either access or abilities or, maybe situations to be able to sit and read sutras, and figure it all out. So this is where the importance of qualified teachers come into play, that we listen to their teachings attentively, because their teachings are derived from or based upon sutras, and then we develop we get the inspirations and develop faith in the teaching.
Ani pola karse put malatin shon nangik ranjuli yonte kaniki chikum kaniki shevi and the and developing shevate ta hakugu.
So if we study sutras or we listen to teachings of sutras, we will hear a lot about the importance of cultivating faith in the teachings. For example, it is said in a sutra that cultivating faith is as important to gaining qualities or realizations, just as mother's existence is important to giving birth to a child, right? For a child to be brought to the world, there has to be a mom. Okay, so mom must precede, as we would say, the birth of a child, because without a mom, from where on the earth the child can come into existence. In the same way, in order to gain inner qualities and realizations, we must cultivate faith. Faith is just like the mom that produces childlike realizations.
So dode tason meda tök son yate dan dode kanale dendik devat sa chong yu kan nang res lo son ting dan de pashi de no yabating shubins.
So that's what Karakumji I think wants to say, that in the sutras there's a lot of things being talked about, the importance of faith. So we should study such sutras, and I'll just give you one example of what is said in a sutra.
Oh, that's that. The such may be so that they say. Generally, maybe melas. And the number kind Jung Maris Munjones. That generally shagres, that generally men. And they round that. You generally maybe metal and this number kind of Jung Maris. They call Hindu from the Sunday, maybe say. Tell any to some machine that they came Marva, just a thing on.
So next, Karakomjin or the Geshe tells us that individuals with no enthusiastic perseverance or enthusiastic diligence, Tsundu in Tibetan, again will not have any kind of knowledge and qualities. Now, because enthusiastic perseverance or diligence, it certainly includes interest in learning or cultivating qualities. So if we lack that kind of enthusiasm and diligence, then of course we are not going to gain any qualities and realizations.
Oh yeah, that in the Tsundu and the Rangil Massive Shave Tabla Karagu Sena and Ali Kiwamataba Goms.
Yes. So if we are lacking in enthusiastic diligence or perseverance, then how do we go about generating one? What do we need to do? Of course, there are many ways to do it, and one of the ways is we need to think about impermanence.
So we really
So how does thinking about impermanence, particularly death and dying, that really kind of helps us to generate enthusiasm? Also, when we think about death and dying, we are not simply saying, okay, one day I'm going to, I'm going to die. Although that is the fact of the matter and truth. But what we really want to think more about is, I don't know when is that going to be. The uncertainty of the time of death. So when we really think about that, then we started to really get serious about our practice and study. We said, because after all, we really don't know how much time is there, to study and practice Dharma. Of course, if we really develop what we call a realization into the impermanence of life through this kind of meditation, and then that certainly becomes very inspirational and motivating factor. But even if we are not there yet, but if we really do good meditation on death and dying, impermanence of life, and get this strong sense of okay, I really can't be very sure if I'm going to exist today or not, whether my life could come to an end any time today. So when you get that strong sense, then it really motivates us. We say, I have no time to lose here. I really need to, I need to engage in practice. This is how we motivate ourselves, inspire ourselves to engage in practice.
Mataba, Choa Mataba, Ane Gombate, Namking Eme Gombata, Choa Mataba Gombate, Ane Ranjil, Ane Kela, Lobe, that Jundu, Ranjil, Tamba Yunsani, that Gachim Bison, Karin Lamre, Sundu was. The He Tanjin and Matab, the He Cho Inscan, the He Mambo, you would know, Rang, Ranla, Rang Matab in the He, the Yabate Choins.
So really, when we think about impermanence of life, particularly death and dying, when we really, the meditation becomes very effective, then it can really, jug us from inside, if you will, and motivate us to engage in our study and practice of Dharma. As it is said in the Lamrim treatises, again, when we talk about different kinds of awareness or recognitions, as we say, the one that is most powerful is the awareness of impermanence, death and dying. It is so powerful that can be a driving force for us to engage in the practice.
Then Nanking Amy, somebody losing a huge of a shaving, and near gave a swallow to jump at some mazi. Then me give you later, me give you lay and juba that guy on good thing. That time and do Santa.
So once we really, how to say, get a sense of the time of death is uncertain. I'm not sure, honest to myself and to whoever, that when my life is going to end. So when we really get a strong sense of that, not only would that help us to engage in practice, positive actions, but it would also help us to stop negativities. Because there is no time to do negative things.
Kadi hiyo the hamago chen dubai mambu sabe ina tin debite ran pe ta nyawa idal tindula soba nyong ko yacha ta te ko ndegu ya marba tumde ndegu ya mechonsa ta deba masasam pe ziki de pe ko gaje che tu.
So when we need a strong sense of the uncertainty of the time of death, and we really started in the field that I can't be very sure how long this life exists even today, but if it does come to an end, then all the negativities I have done could only lead me into more difficult situations. I could be reborn in an unfortunate state where I really don't want to go. Yeah, that's not what I want. So then that means I really need to, get my acts together, stop the negativities, purify the negativities, and keep the ball rolling into positive actions.
Yes. That day told that Lelo Pangres, Lelo Pangres.
Of course, the big obstacle we have to cultivate enthusiastic perseverance or diligence is, our good friend laziness.
By the
way, Geshe didn't say our good friend. I just, want to have a little more irony and humor here, sweet and sour. Okay, there are all kinds of laziness that we are susceptible to, and one of the most one is the laziness of procrastination. I'll do it later.
Shawa Sigil Mawatanga, Shawa Sigil, Dintel Shomas, human shaking, human so Dawandil, human shaking, London Shomas, human shaking. The later is that you might take care of some living girls.
So the laziness of procrastination dictates you say, what, this week you are very busy, do it next week. And the next week comes, we say, what, somehow this week's again, terribly busy, so I'll do next month. And the next month comes, it tells you the same storyline as, okay, no, this month is really hectic, just do the next month. And by the way, the whole year is, okay, this year is anyway coming to an end, so next year I'll do it. So before we really get the time to do anything, the next life comes. It's around the corner, and it's too late. But then it's also another kind of laziness that we have. It's just like right from the beginning, we call it laziness of underestimation, putting oneself down. Right from the beginning, we decide, what, I can't do it. For whatever, all the excuses we have in the world. So we just kind of excuse ourselves. I'm not the one who can do it, or I cannot do it. I don't have the ability. I don't have this and that, whatever. Right from the beginning, we just kind of clamp down on ourselves, even though we have the right, but we are not saying, okay, I don't think I can fight for my right. I just let it go, right? So that's very discouraging ourselves, which is a form of laziness.
Showing in chapter 8. And then there's a moment that the shake was.
And then there's another kind of laziness, which is called laziness of being attached to what we call, I usually call frivolous activities, but literally it means negative activities. So this is where, we get so much caught up and busy and hectic in getting involved in so many actions which are negative, and we lose all our time. So all the time and energy are wasted being too busy in this hustle and bustle thing, and then again we lose the opportunity to practice. On the next, Geshe tells us that those who are arrogant, they will not learn anything or develop qualities, as we would say. Now, this is like if somebody is so arrogant. I mean, arrogant people have the tendency to put down everybody else, and they don't seem to respect others. They don't seem to see what is good in others. So when you don't see good things in others, you are not going to develop any sense of, okay, I need to learn something from them, or they have something they could teach me. Okay? So arrogance is a big obstacle, to gain realizations.
So ngaran lak bazan me sambayina senji parse yen ane kundu sheata kuyeb sheata yen zane yonte chu laya gata ndabasan shigmaris.
So if one has this kind of attitude that I am the world and nobody is above me because I'm right on the top, and so then, I mean, with that kind of an attitude, as we can see, we are not going to respect others, we are not going to admire others' good qualities, and we are not going to, we won't have a wish to learn anything from others.
No. Ane kare is da, yunji kai manjumes. Ta kare go resna te ngaje ma kya kare sena rang ma masa mensa zungres rangu melas ndo rangu melas rang pa mensa zungs mensa zungres.
So how do we counteract arrogance, ngajal in Tibetan, pride in a negative sense? Here, the Geshe tells us that we should cultivate humility or humbleness.
So the Tendishabina Anita, you take into Manzu Tendus Tishomina, that such a Likina gardens, Lishi Chipe Kadinus. Buchuji in a call Yakuji do not think Yangrus.
In the sayings of the great Sakya Pandita, everything is in amazing poetry form in Tibetan, and there is a saying that if the wisdom comes from the mouth of a little child, we should take it. Okay, so age is not a factor here.
Rana Pento Yungiki, Rana Pento Yungiki, Ane Suki Tati, Ane Rang Yangrus.
So what kind of wisdom we're talking about? It's something we can learn and we could use it for our benefit, and it comes from anybody, that's fine. We should be open to take the wisdom from the person. So as we said, lekshe means what we call the wise saying, literally translating, or the wisdom statements. Those are the things we could listen from anybody. We are not saying that you just listen to everything that others are saying. Okay, that's a difference. So from a spiritual point of view, somebody might have a lot of things to say that seems like very beneficial and related to this lifetime only, but those things are not called wisdom and wise sayings from a spiritual point of view. Maybe those are very good, helpful to this life. Okay, so wisdom and wise sayings in a spiritual context means which are beneficial to us in the long term, like over the lives, future lives.
No, long. Rang Aneki, Ranjula Ane, Yente Koma Siata, He Chimbasia, Shamju Sano Siata, the Gana Yegi, Muntu Nilish Lazam, but he can do that, she by this.
So, in other words, if somebody has got something to say that will help us to generate, positive attitudes, such as love, compassion, altruism, cultivate patience, practice generosity, find good rebirths in the next life, find liberation, find enlightenment. The such things, even if it comes from the mouth of a baby, hopefully baby can speak, or a child actually, we should take it. So the Kadampa Geshe or the Gomjin says here that if individuals were to have faith, were to have enthusiastic diligence or perseverance, were to respect others and their goodness, then such individuals have what we call the life basis to be able to engage in spiritual practices of all kinds. The practice of Shravakas or the hearers, the practice of solitary realizers or the Patika Buddhas, the practice of Bodhisattvas, and then the practice of higher level Bodhisattvas who are engaging in tantric practice or the esoteric practices, right? Those who have faith, who have enthusiastic diligence, who respect others, such people have the what we call the life basis to be able to engage in any of such practices and gain the realizations. So basically, when we say that those who have faith, who have enthusiastic diligence, who have respect, we are saying that those who are, in other words, who have abandoned or who get rid of laziness, arrogance, and lack of faith or non-faith, literally translating. Okay. So when they abandon those negative things, then they're able to have the positive qualities we talked about. So if we were to have those three qualities, faith, enthusiastic diligence, and respect for others, then we are able to, we have the basis to cultivate any kind of inner qualities. So I think that's a very important statement. We are going to stop there today. Let us dedicate our marriage for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. may His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other holy masters live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May these and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. In short, we dedicate our collective merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of two types of mental obscuration, and may we all reach complete enlightened state quickly.
Amen.